Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Home with Christy T. Today's video is a little bit special because it's been highly requested since I made this headboard back in 2019. So I'm gonna finally upload some footage that I did catch at the time. Now bear with me because at the time I did not have a YouTube channel, so I never actually planned on posting a video about it. So the footage you see is really more like pictures. I think there's one video in there, but pretty much it's going to be me talking through the whole thing, telling you how to make it. It was very simple. It was my very first DIY build, and I did have to go out and purchase some tools, so I'll talk about that as soon as we get into the video. But please stay to the end. I hope you enjoy this video, and let's get started. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the tools you're gonna need. Excuse me, voice. So I purchased a circular saw for this. You're welcome to use a jigsaw as well. I think they're cheaper, but I kind of just felt like if I was gonna commit to this project, that I was gonna commit to it, and then that I would use these tools later. So I purchased a circular saw. And then I needed a sander as well, like a orbiting sander or square sander, whatever sander you can find that you feel comfortable working with. That's the sander I would suggest that you get, because when you get to the end and it's time to sand before you stain and prime and all that type of stuff, you're not gonna want to do that by hand. It's very time consuming. And then thirdly, you're gonna need a hand drill, so a power drill, a home power drill. If you just buy a regular power drill with regular Phillips head, flathead, bits on that as well. And I think that's about it when it comes to tools. Besides the price of the new tools, the only thing that was more was another cost was obviously the stain, the 2x4s. You need 4 2x4s, L brackets, screws, wood glue, and the sealer. So make sure you seal your bed, because wood is temperamental, and if you don't seal it, and moisture and all this other stuff gets into it, your wood will show that in your. Well, the first thing that I did was I purchased the 4 2x4s. Now, depending on whether you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, I think both will cut it down for you to your desired length. Mine is a queen size headboard, so I will leave those measurements up here and down below in the description box as well. But just depending on what size you want to make, you can custom to fit this to twin, king, queen, full, California king if you're up for that. Just know that changes the price of your materials as well. I think I purchased 4 2x4s by 8 feet, and I had them cut down to the desired length. And then I purchased 4 L brackets. This is what I use to connect all the corners. Now, if you're more advanced into woodworking and you know about pocket holes, at the time I did not. Like I said, I was very new to this, so if you know about pocket holes, that could be another option as well, or even just plain screwing from the sides to connect them, so from this side into here. That would be something you could do, but just whatever works best for you at that point. If you are going to do that method, make sure you count, pre-drill your holes and then countersink your screws. So next thing I went ahead and did was also purchase a large piece of plywood. I didn't do this until I knew exactly how big my frame was going to be, so I assembled the frame first, and then I purchased the plywood to fit those exact measurements. I went ahead and built the frame, put the piece of plywood on it, and now this part I attached using screws and wood glue. And I used, I think they're called F clamps or C clamps, one or the other, to help hold that down. But if you have something that is enough to apply weight, like hand weights or something like that around your house, feel free to use that as well, because this project really doesn't require that much material. Honestly, if you have someone you can rent your tools from, by all means do that. And I think Home Depot offers that option now, where you can rent tools for projects. And I think it's like per the hour. So that will be definitely something to look into if you're not looking to like own some power tools. So okay, so now let's talk about these pallets for a minute. Like I said earlier, I'm not sure exactly how many pallets that I used for our project because I wasn't sure how many I would need at the time. But I will tell you this, do not buy pallets. Because there are so many places that you can get pallets from, including like home furniture stores. And at the time when I did this, we lived in North Carolina, and I just was on the interstate one day. I knew I was looking for pallets, but I was on the interstate one day driving by, and I looked over and there was this huge pile of pallets behind this furniture like BOHO store. And so I was like, babe, pull over, can we go see if we can get those pallets? So you will need a truck to load those and some extra hands, and preferably gloves, because some of them do have rusty nails sticking out of them. So make sure you have on a good pair of sturdy gloves and you're prepared to lift and do those things, because you do not want to break a nail. You do not want to get a rusty nail stuck in your hand. You will need to go to the hospital for that. But we went over, we asked them like, hey, make sure you ask, because you don't want to just be in somebody's place picking up their pallets and then next thing you know, you're out there getting arrested. I did not tell you to do that. Ask the place first, ask them if you can have some of their pallets. And this place was very kind, and they were like, yeah, take as many as you need, as many as you want. And they had so many kinds. So what you're looking for when you're looking for pallets is wood that's not cracked. So usually pallet wood is been used to carry really heavy stuff. So finding a perfect pallet would be pretty much you paying for one. But if you're looking for the right kind, like you want to make sure that your wood is not molded or has like a whole bunch of cracks and holes in it, because once again, this is going to be your headboard, so you're going to make sure that you're getting pretty good quality wood. And so the better the quality you can find, the better it will and easier it will be for you to assemble your project. And trust me, you want easy. Because I will say this, when I was starting my project, I saw and I watched a whole bunch of videos talking about how easy it is to just like pull the nails and pull the wood right on off of the pallet. And I'm like, oh, I can do this. I don't need a circular saw. I don't need tools. I can just use the hammer and the crowbar. No, thank you. I quickly realized that I needed that circular saw to cut. Just go ahead and cut. Now, if I had been able to do it that way, I would have had longer planks of wood instead of like the ones you see in the picture. But because I didn't, I had to go through and like basically, if this is the side, this is the middle, and this is the other side, I cut the planks along this side and cut them along the middle. So that gave me planks that were about this wide. So I hope that's a frame, but about this wide. And then I just trimmed accordingly to what I needed for the design. Moving on to the design. You'll see, I'll insert a picture of the plans that I originally planned to do. It was more of not really a chevron. It was kind of chevron, but they were all going in one direction. But what I ended up doing, which is what you see in the pictures here, is like a chevron pattern that's like alternating. This to me was easier and looked better because of how I had to cut the pallet wood from the pallets. Feel free to do this any way you want. And if you don't use pallet wood and you use select pine or timber from like your local wood store, then you could create a different pattern and do how my original design was, with just all of them going in one direction. But once again, that would then cost you more money. The money you would save if you got a bunch of free pallets, that's free wood. If you buy a whole bunch of timber, you have to pay for all of that, and that's more cost to your budget. I will try to calculate the price of what everything costs me. I guess I would say outside the tools, because now owning those tools and creating this bed made me start my own business, and I figured out that I love woodworking. Thank me later if that happens for you, because I was never like a person that liked to get my hands dirty. Like, I'm very much a nails done, fingers looking good, like a girly girl, okay? But after creating this project and seeing it come together, oh my gosh, like, I wanted to build everything out of wood, and it was like, okay, I need more tools. So the price that I'm going to calculate for you guys is going to be, one's going to include the tools and one is going to not include the tools, because like I said, you can rent tools now from like Home Depot, and I'm not sure if Lowe's offers it, but that's definitely something to look into. So once I got all of the wood pieces cut from the pallets, that's when I started piecing them together. Now, if you own a nail gun, this will be so much easier and it will take less time. At the time, I did not own a nail gun, so all of my wood that is on my bed, on the frame, on the board, is glued down with wood glue, which also meant that I had to make sure, only do a small section, make sure that's permanently glued down. So adding weights to that, let that dry overnight, and then go back and do another section, let that dry overnight. So this took over a course of like 3 weeks, only because I was also working, but also like I didn't have a nail gun. If you have a nail gun, just put it in there, it will go by so much quicker. Now, I'm not saying go out and buy a nail gun, that's completely up to you. Once again, if you are feeling the need to make that investment, or if you rent that tool, by all means, it will make your job a lot much easier. And honestly, once I got all of that done, the next part was like I had to trim off all the excess from like the pieces that hung over. This part was tricky for me because, once again, I really did not have any experience using a circular saw. So I will admit this, when cutting like the excess hangover from the pallet wood pieces off, I was trying to go on my straight line, but I did make a mistake and like cut off one of the heads of the screws on them. Don't ask me how I did it. I just know that it freaked me out because all of a sudden sparks were flying. So I do suggest that you take some time and practice with your tools before doing your project, because you'd rather mess up a test piece of wood than mess up your project, which thankfully that part is kind of hidden, so no one would ever know. I mean, you know now because I just told you. But so I cut off all the excess, and then I went ahead and sanded this down. Now, sanding you really want to do because all of your woods are different textures, different grains, different colors because of it being scrap wood. Now, if you do the timber option where you buy all the timber, you still want to sand it, but it'll look more cohesive. But I wanted more of a like distressed kind of woodland look, because at the time I wanted to redo our bedroom. I was going to purchase a brand new bed set, and when I saw the prices for that, I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna try to do this myself. So when I built this one and had to use the pallet wood, I was okay with that. But when I sanded it down, oh my gosh, guys, I was like, this is stunning. And the natural wood colors that were revealed from taking off all the grime and stuff from it being pallet wood. Obviously, this wood has set out in the rain. It has been used to hold heavy stuff, so it was very much dirty looking colored wood. But when you sand it and that natural wood tone start to come through, my heart, that is when I fell in love, like, with just the wood itself. And then the final step was to obviously stain, sand, stained, seal, sand, sealed. But before I did all of those steps, I went ahead and reconditioned the wood. And y'all, look at these clips. Look at these clips. Like, so this is before I put the stain on it. I want to put the pre-stain on, like the wood conditioner or whatever. And boy, is it beautiful. Look at those now. That is gorgeous. Like, that wood was so beautiful. I honestly did not want to put a stain on it. I wanted to keep it how it was, and just I took a poll trying to figure out if I should do it or not, and everyone said stain it, and I still was like, I don't know if I should stain it or not, but I did end up staining it. I love it, love it, love it, love it. But in the future, if I want to change it up, or even if this doesn't, if at some point we upgrade our bedroom and go with a different style, I'm not throwing this headboard away. It will get used somehow in a garden or something else in our home, because this was my first wood project, so therefore like my first love with wood. So yeah, definitely one that I'm gonna keep. And so once again, after you've put the wood conditioner on there, then you're gonna want to go ahead and stain it in your desired color. Now the color that I used, I don't know at the moment, but I will leave it linked down below. It was definitely a Minwax color. And I used 2 of the smaller cans to complete it. And then I went ahead, and if you want it darker, so if you choose the color that I chose, obviously, and you want it darker or lighter, just that depends on how many coats you put on and how long you leave it sitting on the wood. Just that depends on you and the desired look that you're going for. The next thing I did after, obviously staining, letting that dry, was to seal that in with the Minwax. I think it's called polyurethane coating. So I used a semi-gloss because obviously I didn't want like a shiny bed. The whole purpose of this was to look very natural, but I didn't want a flat either. So I used a semi-gloss, and it worked out perfectly. It gave just enough shine that it looked like a professional bed, and it still didn't break. So the instructions tell you to seal, sand, and seal again to get the best coverage. So whether you follow those instructions is completely up to you. But I will say that I only sealed mine once, and I did not sand after that. And my bed has held up really great. And now I live in a very humid climate, and my bed is still holding up great. Like, had no issues, nothing. And it's held up really great. I'll insert some more clips of what that's looking like now. Even, it's 2021, so by all means, guys, please complete this project. I know you're gonna love it in the end. If you're having doubts and are worried about doing it, feel free to watch this video as many times as you like, because you can do this. I have faith in you, and I know you can accomplish anything. As always, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Once again, I know it was a little off of my usual, and I know I've been taking forever to get videos going up. It's really been hectic, and I've had a lot going on in life. But I do hope you guys love this video, and if you do, please don't forget to hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. Like, obviously I'm not dishing out content constantly, but the content that I do dish out, I hope you guys are loving and are inspired to do stuff for your spaces and create these items for yourself. So yeah, and also don't forget to go ahead and like my Instagram page over at _Christy_T. I do post updates there as well. Just please bear with me, because social media content, YouTube content isn't like my number one priority. Like, I have a full-time job as well, plus my business. So yeah, all right, so I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.